folks, Bridges here. Today we're going to use Fusion 360 to do a practice exercise. It's called 1.2.5 Sketches, Extrusions, Revolutions, Oh My. So looking at this drawing, we're going to create this with Fusion 360. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to sketch this circle portion, and we're going to extrude it up a distance of 30, and the units right here say millimeters. So we're going to draw a circle of diameter 40 millimeters and extrude it up 30 millimeters. So let's get into it. In Fusion 360, we're going to start a new sketch. I'm going to choose the tabletop because I'm going to be coming up with my extrusion. It really doesn't matter. You can do it from any dimension, but we're going to start in this flat dimension. As I said, we're going to start by making a center point circle. We're going to click once in the center. We're going to move out. And I can specify a distance of, oh, look there. It's got my units in inches right now. And if you recall, our units are supposed to be in millimeters. So you might be telling yourself, I need to change the units. And to do that, I'm going over here to the document settings. I'm going to expand the document settings. And there it shows me my current units are, in fact, inches. We want to change that, don't we? We're going to change it from inches to millimeters. We don't want to set that as the default. I like inches being my normal default, so I'm going to say OK for now. All right? So now we're looking at it in inches. I'm going to create my circle once again, starting in the center. I'm going to come out a distance of 40 millimeters. That's what my drawing says. Look there. Now you might be asking yourself, why are my blocks so big or why are my blocks so small? Referring to the grid. Well, this is an adaptive grid. If I zoom in enough, it's not changing. But you've got your grid settings down here. And right now, my layout grid is not turned on. I'm not sure why it has a grid there. That's okay. You can change all the grid settings right down here. There's the adaptive grid I was talking about. And as you zoom in, they get smaller and smaller. And as you zoom out, they get larger and larger. So don't worry too much about that grid. It's just there just to keep you oriented. Okay? I'll just cancel that. I really don't want my grid on right now, but I think you have to be in 3D mode to turn it off. So I'll go ahead and finish this sketch. Now I'm in 3D mode. And now I can go ahead and turn that grid off if I don't like it. So now we've got our 40 millimeter circle, and we're ready to extrude it up. I think we set a distance of 30. So I'll go ahead and type in 30 there and press enter. Now let's say that you did that and you accidentally typed in the wrong number. Or you didn't type in a number. We can always go back and edit that extrusion right down here on our timeline. So there's the original sketch. You can go in and fix the original sketch. If you meant for that to be 45 or 30, you could change it here and say, okay, we don't want to change ours. You can also change the depth of the extrusion by right-clicking on the timeline icon. We're going to hit Edit Feature. And we are going to drag it up, or we're going to just specify in there a height of 40. Sorry, 30, right? Yeah. All right, so now we've got the base of our part. It's done, almost. Now we're going to extrude this little cube up, straight up. And we're going to ignore the fact that it has some curved edges there. Those are called fillets. We'll deal with those after we extrude the rectangle up. Let's look at that rectangle. It is a square. It does appear to be in the center. And over here, we can verify that that center of the square is corresponding with the center of the outside circle. We know that because the distance from the edge of the square is 5 millimeters to the center. And the overall distance across the square is 10 millimeters tall and 10 millimeters wide. So therefore, it does line up with the center. So coming back to Fusion, we're going to sketch on the top. It's important here that you do choose the top of the cylinder. Do not choose an origin plane, which is back down here on the tabletop. We're not going to do that. We're going to sketch on top of the cylinder. Select that as your drawing plane. Now we'll use the rectangle tool. But here's the problem with this drawing tool. This rectangle tool, it wants you to do the two corners. Okay? There's a better tool for this job. If you look under the Create menu, you look down here at Rectangles. Which one of these options is a better option? Center rectangle, very good. Thank you for that answer. we're going to choose the center rectangle, and that'll keep whatever the center point that we want it to be will be the center of the rectangle. So I'll click once to center that, and then I'll move up and over. And I'll go ahead and type in the width of 10. Make my cursor jump up to the other box. I'll just press the Tab key. Once again, press 10, and then we press Enter. And there we go. There's our dimensions. We can finish our sketch. And we can extrude that part straight up. How far up do we need to extrude this part? Well, I'm not sure. I'm going to flip over and look at my drawing. Our drawing says we need to go up with it a distance of 15 millimeters. So I'll type that in, 15 millimeters, enter. Looking good. What should we focus on next? Should we focus on the fact that there's a little curve right here filled in? That's called a fillet, and it has a radius. It's an arc, arcing tangentially between the vertical face and the horizontal face. And it happens to have a radius of 5. R5 means that is the radius of that curve. So let's apply a fillet. To do a fillet, it's the fillet tool, which ironically shows a round. Let's go ahead and click that, and then it'll say select your edges. We want the edge right here. We want the edge right here. We can actually grab through this surface if we get the right spot, and there we go, and there's another one. We want those 4 surfaces, and we can pull this out, and we can change our radius. You can see it just gets bigger and smaller, but the value that we want to put on there is 5, we said. Enter. It looks great. Last thing that we want to do, we've got all the features on top done. Last thing we want to do is add this little chamfer, a little chop down on the bottom. And this one threw us for a loop yesterday a bit, but we figured it out. Okay? I'm going to look at this thing from the bottom, so I'm going to drag my view cube just a bit like that. Okay? And fillet is up here in the shortcuts for modify, but if we choose modify, there's even more options down here, and chamfer is one of them. Now yesterday we chose our edge to be right here, but that didn't work out so well for us. So what we did was we circled back and tried it a different way. It says, the pop-up on the mouse says select edges or faces. So we're actually going to chamfer this face, is what we're chamfering. Now it's looking for, you can see the little blue arrow. If I move that little blue arrow, it starts chamfering like that. Okay, and it's asking for a distance. Okay, so let's see what our distance is. Looks like our distance is supposed to be 5. And look here, for the other side, it's an angle. So what you might have to do is you might have to change the type of chamfer. Maybe yours is set to equal distance. We want a distance and an angle. So now with distance and angle selected, let's type in our distance and our angle. Our distance being, I forgot how much it said already. Our distance being 5 and our angle being 30. So our distance being 5, tab, angle being 30. And that does look like what we're looking for. So I'll click OK. I'll look at this from the front. I'll look at this from the home view. That does line up with what we're looking for. So we'll go on to the next portion of the video next.